An updated Canada Food Guide was released recently, and there have been a few changes since the last edition came out about 12 years ago. Let's talk about what's healthy and what's not so healthy. I'm joined in studio now by Heather Mather. She's a registered dietitian with Alberta Health Services in Lethbridge. Welcome to Bridge City News.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. So Heather, let's talk about who decides what gets the thumbs up and what gets the thumbs down when it comes to food in the food guide.
So this revision, it was long overdue. They actually had a lot of stakeholder input, which included the public. So there was quite a long period of time where the public could provide their input, and then professionals, like dietitians like myself, could provide some input, and organizations. And then they had the scientific review committee. So these are people like, they list Dr. Kim Rain. She's from the University of Alberta. We've had her down to Lethbridge to speak. She was on their advisory committee. So they had some top-notch scientists for this revision for the food guide.
Okay, so we've got the food guide right here, but you know what's interesting is I've talked to some beef producers here in Alberta that are really not too happy with the new Canada Food Guide, Heather. They're saying we should get all our protein from the plant-based diet instead of from the beef.
No, the protein includes beef, so they're emphasizing lean, unprocessed meats. So meat is still a good choice and a good healthy choice in your diet, and it is still on the plate.
But I noticed there's not a lot of mention of dairy though as well. There's a little bit of yogurt, but not so much of milk and a lot of cheeses.
Yeah, it got included into the protein group because it's a good source of protein, so it is still a healthy part of your diet. So they're emphasizing, though, lower fat milks to choose from, lower fat yogurt to choose from, instead of higher fat cheeses and things like the ice cream, which Canadians a lot of times will go for. And
that's one of the four food groups, isn't it?
No.
Gravy, ice cream, and
see,
what? No?
See, yeah, I think that's part of, we had a large intake of ice cream and higher fat cheeses, and it leads to heart disease. So they're really emphasizing the lean choices, lower fat, unsweetened. Kefir is a great choice. Unsweetened, lower fat milks are great choices. So they are still on the guide.
How about processed meats? How bad are they for us, really?
Well, they're really recommending decreasing processed meats. There's a link to cancers like colorectal, colon cancer. So they want people to reduce their intake of processed meats like ham, wieners, sausages. So that got attention on the new guide, which is good because we have a high rate of those cancers here in Canada. So.
Well, it's funny, here in southwestern Alberta as well, there are a lot of German people, a lot of Austrian people, a lot of Europeans that love their sausage, right? So what do you say to them when they say, we're going to have our sausage here?
Well, don't have them as often.
In moderation, like Mom says?
In moderation, yeah. So choose your leaner meats, your fresher meats that aren't salted and processed. Yeah, so choose, not huge portions either. So that's what they're trying to get across too with the food guide. A lot of us Canadians aren't getting enough vegetables and fruits. So they're really emphasizing on this plate to get more vegetables and fruits because about 45% of Canadians aren't getting what they need for vegetables and fruits.
So what are some of the good veggies and fruits we should really focus in on?
Well, what you like too, canned and frozen can be good choices too.
Frozen is fine too?
Yes.
We don't lose the nutritional value when it comes to frozen?
No, frozen actually sometimes if it's picked and harvested right off and processed soon right off the crop, it can be a really good choice. It preserves the nutrients, the freezing preserves the nutrients, so sometimes it can be a better choice than some of the fresh stuff depending on how long the fresh has been sitting there.
How about somebody's looking at maybe going on a diet, should they stay away from maybe bananas, high in sugar?
Bananas are a great choice. No, they are on the guide.
Stick with bananas?
I think this one, it's interesting to me. I think they try to choose more Canadian type foods when you look at the guide, when you look at the new picture. A lot of those foods are grown in Canada. So that seems to be a bit of an emphasis there too, trying to get closer to home.
What about fruit juices? A lot of times we give kids those little packs to take to school. And I remember my doctors telling me, be careful of that because they're very high in sugar. Never mind so much the sodas, the pops, but the fruit juices as well.
Yeah, that's the difference with this guide. They took fruit juice off because people were consuming too much fruit juice. In Alberta, we have our Alberta Nutrition Guidelines, and we recommend no more than half a cup of juice, unsweetened juice, but it is a better choice to choose the whole fruit as opposed to the juice. You're getting the benefits of the fiber when you're choosing the whole fruit, so the emphasis is choosing whole.
So what are the concerns then, Heather? Would they be maybe type 2 diabetes?
The research is showing more for dental decay, and we do have a lot of children that do have dental decay. Some children need surgery because of their dental decay, so that is a concern. So that's one of the factors why they took juice off.
So let's say I'm a parent with a young child, sending them to elementary school, maybe they're grade 1 or grade 2. What should be some of the essentials that I should pack in their lunch each day?
Well, have the child involved. And this is what's
Oh.
nice about the new guide. It's very interactive. They have videos. There's actually a little student, a student doing his own lunch. So he's packing his own lunch. Get kids involved. And this is what's nice about the new guide too. They're really emphasizing getting the whole family involved and teaching young children how to cook. We're finding a lot of Canadians they've lost that skill of cooking and they're relying on these processed foods. A lot of Canadians, about 30%, are eating out and not cooking at home. And they really want to bring people back to the table. There's benefits for nutrition when you cook your own meals and eat around the table.
And communication too, right?
There's benefits beyond nutrition when you sit around the table and have conversations with people and eat together. So it's really nice that they've emphasized this on the new guide.
Now, wouldn't you save money at the same time as well, as opposed to going out to eat every day, right?
Yeah, it depends on the ingredients, but yes,
Right.
you probably should be able to save some money too.
Although with fast food, a lot of people say, you know what, like a lot of students I talk to at college, university, they say, I can buy a fast food meal for $5, whereas I'm going out shopping. I can't afford to go to the grocery store all the time.
It depends on what you're buying and and what you're choosing. Fast food can be expensive too when you're like feeding a family of 4. And the quality of the food sometimes, it depends on what you're buying too. You may not have as high a quality and the choices. So it all depends.
Now, what about alcohol? Should we stay clear from alcohol altogether? Or some people say, a little wine is fine. It's good for the blood, good for the circulation. A lot of my friends will say, well, beer is also nice too, especially those who grew up in a European household. What are your thoughts when it comes? Is booze bad news?
Well, it's nice that they've actually featured this on the new guide. That's another difference. We didn't see that on the old guide. On this guide, they are recommending to watch your alcohol intake because that, again, is an issue in Canada. It's one of it's a reason for a higher global burden of disease for Canadians. It can increase weight. There's a lot of...
It's high sugar too, isn't it?
Yeah, there can be
Right.
a lot of nutrients in alcohol, and it can cause cancers too, like your throat kind of cancers, your liver cancer, of course, your pancreas. So there's a lot of health risks with alcohol. So again, it's good that they put that on the guide and to draw more attention to it because it probably wasn't receiving the attention that it needed.
Everyone says water's the best. We're made up of 75-80% water in our bodies. Drink water. But Heather, water gets so boring. All the time, water. I mean, it's nice. It flushes out your system. It's good. I know. But how can we dress it up a little, make it a little snazzier and more enjoyable?
It's free. You don't even have to pay. Look at all the money you could save by just hydrating.
Well, it's not free. I mean, I pay the city, for my water.
Yeah, oh, wow. It's pretty cheap. It's
Yeah.
0 calories.
How about put a lemon in it? Would that maybe?
Yes, for sure.
Freshen
And
it up?
people have those fruit infused waters. You can
Right.
buy special containers, water bottle containers, to have your fruit to give it some flavor. If you like some flavor in your water, that's a great tip.
And what's interesting too is that the city water actually goes through more stringent controls than the bottled water that you're buying. So it's actually safer to drink the city water than what you're getting from who knows where when it comes to the bottled water.
Yeah, and I understand we got some upgrades to the city water treatment plant too, which is great news.
How about a spot of tea and maybe some coffee?
Yeah,
In
so
moderation?
they have that actually on the guide that can be a healthy choice. Of course, caffeine, you want to watch caffeine intake, and that's why I brought my
Oh.
little cup of coffee. So no more than 400 milligrams for adults.
Show that for our viewers at home, so you can have a look here.
So
Yeah, oh, don't spill. Oh, it's not going to spill, so no problem.
that cup could have just over probably about 125 milligrams of caffeine. So not huge amounts of coffee, and tea has caffeine too. So they can be a healthy choice, but we just don't want to have them sweetened and loaded with creams, high-fat milks, which a lot of our coffees now have. So you notice mine's just plain and black.
Yeah, but that's no fun. Come on.
So control how much
The double-double,
that you
right?
put in there.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand. Well, it's funny too because it's interesting when I go out to some restaurants, I have an iced tea, especially when I go down to the States. It's literally an iced tea, unsweetened, right?
yeah.
As opposed to the sweetened that I'm used to up here.
In Canada, it is
Right?
different. Yeah, yeah.
So it's just the danger of taking in too much sugar? Is that what the problem is?
Well, a lot of our coffee drinks now, they're like specialty coffee drinks. We can get huge amounts of sugar and calories from it. So it can be an issue. And it's easy to drink too much of them too, and they're large portion sizes. You know, with a lot of our beverages now too, you know, you get these meal deals or you go to the movie theaters and large amounts of sugar, you know, which aren't, it's not good for our waistline, it's not good for our teeth.
What about the popcorn? I'm a huge popcorn fan.
Sorry.
I'm going to a movie. I can't sit there and watch a movie without popcorn. I don't know how some people do it. It's possible. Is it okay to have my popcorn?
I don't want to be Debbie Downer here, but yeah,
Or
watch
Tommy
your
Texter or Susie C. Kicker. Oh no, that's in the movie, but okay.
Yeah, so you know, adding your own seasoning. Actually, Alberta Health Services, we have got a recipe for making a healthier popcorn to
But
season
that's
it.
not allowed. You can't sneak that into the movie
I
theater.
know,
Come
yeah.
on.
Sometimes I do.
So, whoa, did we get that on? Okay, well, we'll talk. What about pastas? I have a lot of, again, European friends, and you know, they love their lasagna, they love the linguine, the fettuccine, alfredo. What about the pastas?
Well, trying to choose whole grain. And that's what's nice about the new food guide too, the visual too. It's brown rice, wild rice, whole
So
grain
white rice is
pasta.
bad?
Well, they're really focusing on trying to get those whole grain products. So choosing a whole grain pasta. And you can see it in the markets. I think consumers are demanding that more. And then using like your tomatoes on top instead of your cream sauces would be better choices for your pasta. But pasta can be a great choice. But then you also see with the plate too, it doesn't take up all of your plate. Half of your plate should be vegetables and fruits, so trying to plan your meal that way. They've tried to simplify it for Canadians too, because I think all those portion sizes and serving sizes, they were too confusing. A lot of people weren't following the old guide, so I think their hope is to make it easier for consumers to be able to follow it.
So to lose weight, should we stay away from everything that's white, the white rice, the white bread?
Well,
You know?
I mean,
Go
I
whole
don't
grain,
want
like
to.
you said?
Yeah, whole grain. Try to make whole grain choices as much as possible. Like sometimes if you're eating out, it's not a choice, but I think as consumers too ask for that choice, and the more that they hear that consumers want it, they will change their menus too. And we're seeing more restaurants serving brown rice as an option. I'm seeing it more. I think we're seeing a trend here where Canadians want to eat healthier, which is nice.
I'm a big fan of rice vermicelli. Oh, that is so good. Getting so hungry here. Just
You
to
love your
go
food,
I
don't
do
you? I
love
can
my
tell,
foods,
yeah.
right? Now, speaking of which, I like to cook as well once in a while. And what kind of cooking oils should I use and maybe avoid?
So again, on this guide, they're really emphasizing choosing healthier types of fats, so your unsaturated fats, and reducing your saturated fats. So
Grapeseed oil, is that okay?
yeah, so things like the avocados are great. Your olive oils are
Olive oil.
good choices, and canola oil. Those kinds of oils are better to be choosing than a saturated fat. So reducing things like they emphasize like coconut milk, coconut oil. I know that's really popular. Palm oil, and your butters too. They're saturated fats, and they lead to a higher rate of heart disease and stroke. So,
Wow.
and we still have high rates in Canada. So, having more of your fish. Again, this guide still recommends the 2 servings of fish a week, which will help with heart disease too.
It's interesting though, Heather. I talked to some nutritionists that say have butter, avoid margarine. Margarine is man-made, where butter is natural.
Oh well,
So,
they shouldn't be saying that.
what really? Oh
No,
my goodness!
but you know,
Maybe I
I-
should talk to them.
Yeah, I think though, you know, some people really do like butter. So if you do really reduce the amount that you use, that's sort of like
So
some
like Mom
people.
says, again in moderation.
But yeah, a soft margarine is a better choice than a butter, heart health wise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about desserts and snacks? What should we definitely avoid, and what's okay to have once in a while?
But it's good to give yourself permission. I
treat?
think a treat, yeah, because I think, you know, psychologically, if you deny yourself something that you want, psychologically it makes you want it more. So,
Chocolate.
yeah, enjoy those things. Make sure it's something you really enjoy. Don't, you know, waste your calories and savor it and have it on occasion. So, hey, you know, if you have a birthday, you need your birthday cake. You know, that's
What's your favorite pie?
But, you know,
Pumpkin
my
is-
favorite,
Yeah, what's
because
your favorite?
I'm a real dietitian, I like ancient food cake with strawberries.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty healthy.
But in moderation, right?
Yeah, I still don't eat the whole cake. Yeah.
Now, what about for seniors who are really concerned about their diets as well and what they may be prohibited from having? What are your recommendations for seniors?
Well, if people are on a special diet, they probably should be seeing a health professional and to see a dietitian. A lot of people don't realize you can see a dietitian for free too. Here within Alberta Health Services, Alberta Healthy Living, you can make an appointment to see a dietitian for free. And then HealthLink too, if people want to talk to a dietitian, they can call 811 and ask for a dietitian to speak to them about any kind of nutrition concerns they might have. So Alberta Health Services has the HealthLink dietitian to talk to too, so 811 is another option.
Have you received much pushback from parents or maybe other special interest groups or who are saying, you know, you really didn't talk about our food products as much as you should have in the new Canada Food Guide?
Yeah, I think there's always, you know, somebody will always have something that they wanted on there, and they will update it again, and, you know,
Well,
guideline.
12 years from now, or do we have
Well,
to
I
wait
don't
that
know. I don't know. I'm not in control of that. That's not my
Right.
decision. But yeah, they try to keep up with the trends too. And I think, you know, you can see Canada is a melting pot. We're known as a melting pot. We're getting a lot of different cultures here, and they've always tried to capture that in the food guide, various cultures too. So this guide and the Indigenous population too. We're going to have an update on that guide. So they always take that into account as well.
That's wonderful. Heather Mather, registered dietitian with Alberta Health Services here in Lethbridge. Thanks so much for joining me today on Bridge City News.
Thanks for having me.
On behalf of all of us here at BCN, I'm Hal Roberts. God bless, eat well, and have a great night.